Good morning and good afternoon for those on the East Coast. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy day to see, I think, a very insightful presentation by C. Armstead, who, as many of you do know, has served as ACHE's first Director of Diversity and Inclusion since November of 15. C leads ACHE's strategic focus on diversity and inclusion as one of 4 organizational core values. Prior to joining ACHE, C led diversity at the American Bar Association and served as a D&I consultant with other organizations. It is a great privilege of mine to introduce C. Armstead.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael, and thank you everyone for taking time out of your very busy schedules to participate in our first virtual focus group. I would like to start off with a mic check. The technology is designed to allow everyone to participate, we hope. So we want to start off with a quick first name introduction, and that will confirm that we can hear you. So I'll call names, and please respond and let us know who you are and your organization and or your title. Anastasia?
Dan called in.
Okay. So if you hear me and we cannot hear you, that means we need you to call in or take us off of mute. You may have us on mute. So, and it looks like, Anastasia, you are self-muted. So if you can take us off of mute, we want to make sure that we can hear you. While she's doing that, Ashley Wilson, please unmute so we can know that you're with us.
She hasn't called in.
Okay. And it looks like it's muted. I don't know if it's muted from your end, Michael and Kim, but let's go to Cece Valentine. Can you hear us?
She's on mute.
Okay, Cece, can you take us off of mute? And it looks like it's muted by the organizer too, Michael. It looks like everyone is muted at this time by the organizer. No. Can you, Kim or Michael, can you unmute everyone? I just want to do a mic check. So while we're working through that technological issue, for the sake of time, because we do want to be very respectful of your time, we will move on, and I'll come back to confirming everyone can participate in the dialogue. So as hopefully some of you all know, this...
Yeah, hey, they haven't called in on the phone, 213.
Okay. Mike, I'm picking you up there in the background. This initiative is a collaborative one with 6 organizations. We call it the Better Together Collaborative Group. Those 6 organizations being ACHE, and then the Asian Healthcare Leaders Forum, the Institute for Diversity and Health Equity, the LGBT Forum, the National Association of Health Services Executives, and the National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives. Hopefully you see at least one or more of your organizations on this listing, and that's one of the reasons why you were invited to participate in this focus group. Okay.
Going back.
All right. Next, want to review what we will do on this call if technology cooperates here. There we go. Today's game plan. We will do a brief overview of the Better Together Collaborative Initiative, and then we'll introduce this first initiative. And the idea of this focus group is for us to introduce you to 2 initiatives that we are considering, we, the Better Together group. And we want to get your honest, candid feedback. on the idea of each initiative. Just your sort of visceral reaction to the proposed ideas for each initiative. We'll introduce the first one and then have a short discussion, 7 to 10 minutes, both virtual and, both via the chat and hopefully the phone call, so that we can hear you, and you can also type your comments into the chat box. Hopefully you see on your screen a place to type in your chat comments. Then we'll introduce the second initiative and do the same thing, have some feedback from you all. And then the last item is we'll look at the Executive Diversity Career Navigator, which is the collaborative product of all of the 6 groups, and want to get your feedback on that product, which is already up and functional on the website. So that's the plan for today. Kim and Mike, it looks like all of the phones are still muted. Can you unmute the participants' phones just so we can make sure that they're able to talk during our focus group discussion?
See, everybody has to read that notice they got. They have to dial into the 213 number. We do not unmute people because on our control panel, everybody's green. You're green, I'm green, Kim's green. If you have a mic on your computer, unmute yourself. If you do not have a mic on your computer, you need to call the 213 number on those instructions that were sent by the webinar.
Excellent. Mike, is it possible you or Kim could type that into the chat box? And
sure.
Hopefully, including the phone number.
If anybody has a question, you could type message under chat, and I will read them as we go. I just saw you, Portia.
Hi, Portia. We just saw Portia, and a few people have commented. Ashley is dialed in. Can you see the chat box, Mike and Kim?
Yes.
Oh, and Neil says he called into the 213 number and he's still muted.
Okay.
And Anastasia says she dialed in from the phone. So, yeah, I think, Mike, while I introduce this first initiative, if you will look into, from your end, it's still saying the organizer needs to unmute everyone. It looks like all the participants have called in, but it's muted on your side, Mike and Kim. Only the organizer can unmute us.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for your patience on that. All right, let me introduce the first initiative. There you go. Actually, quick comments regarding the 2 initiatives that we will be presenting. The Better Together group wanted to make sure the initiatives focused on collaborating for impact. That is, making our collective work stronger than any one group independently. We are hoping that whatever we create will provide an opportunity for the respective chapters to collaborate at the local level. We also wanted to make sure that the initiative provided an opportunity for different types of healthcare organizations to participate, not just hospitals. And then the bottom line is the bottom line, and that is our primary purpose with the initiatives is to build a diverse leadership team that represents the community it serves. And by having a more representative leadership team, better equips the healthcare organization to face the challenges in modern society. So our primary purpose is not just to have X representation of a certain type of senior leader. It is ultimately to deliver better service to healthcare consumers. All right, the first initiative. The first initiative has the working title of Showcasing Inclusive Healthcare Organizations. As you can see on the screen, there are 4 general components of this idea. It begins with the Better Together groups, all 6 groups, selecting one hospital or one healthcare organization that has a demonstrated inclusive workplace culture for diverse executives. And that distinction is important, and that we are focusing our work on the diversity of senior leadership. Diversity in the entire workforce is important, and there are many initiatives that address that. But the work that the Better Together group focuses on is targeted towards the senior ranks. And so the Better Together groups would select one hospital or healthcare organization that represents an inclusive workplace. And based on those 6 model organizations, we would develop informational and educational materials that reflect some aspects of what that model inclusive organization is doing. In other words, we would be building a best practices resources. And some of this best practices is represented in other places. We know that. But we're looking at if we can compile this information and really build some tangible resources, that then we would have tools that other senior leaders can use to replicate, to adapt and replicate in their own organization. The third part of this idea is to develop and implement ways to publicize these inclusive model organizations, particularly targeting the decision makers in hospitals and healthcare organizations. So once we've created these resources, we really want to focus on getting the word out about those resources. And then the fourth aspect would be to assess the effectiveness of what we are doing, and what impact, what difference is it making in organizations that use the materials. So that's a very general outline of the inclusive initiative. So at this point, I'm hoping we're in a position to have some feedback from the participants. It looks like, Mike, it looks like that everything is still, where, right here? Hello, can we hear anyone else? Cece, can you see if we can hear you? It looks like some of the phones are unmuted. It looks like no. Kim or Michael?
Hey, C, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. We're still having an issue here. I don't know why we can't hear everybody. We see them out there, but we can't hear them.
Okay. So
I
do apologize. I see that we are getting some feedback. David has responded to this first initiative saying, I like the idea, and I don't think any organization would jump on a chance, highlight all of the good things they're doing in the D&I space. Thank you, David, for that comment. And others, while we're still working on this audio, you can respond via chat. And again, I do apologize for this technical issue. We, of course, did trial runs on this a couple of times, but here are the discussion points for consideration. The first one being, what are potential ways to promote this inclusive model organizations and generate interest in replicating their successes? I'm going to go ahead and read through all of the discussion points, and if you will, provide feedback via the chat. Second point, will learning about inclusive organizations likely prompt your CEO or other senior leaders in your organization to make changes in your organization? And if so, why or why not? From your current position, what, if anything, can you do with this type of information to help your organization build a more inclusive culture for diverse executives. And this information would be those the learnings from the 6 inclusive organizations that we've selected to showcase. And the last question is, what are potential obstacles to this type of initiative being effective for helping to create more inclusive workplaces? So considering that we are working with the typed version of communication, if you take a moment to look at those 4 questions and type in any responses into the chat box, that would work well. And then we can see if any of the technology will cooperate for audio discussion. So we'll give a minute or two for individuals for you all to type into the chat box. Thank you, everyone, for your feedback. I'm going to read through a few. Let's see. All right, a few comments here. Quite a few comments. So, David comments that one can generate interest by making this initiative very publicized beyond ACHE, which is a great idea and one of the benefits of having all 6 entities involved. Anastasia says, I think that it would be difficult to get senior leaders to actually take initiative on this without a large issue within their organization. I think in my organization, it would have to be a bottom-up method in order to get buy-in. Excellent input. So starting from the bottom and let it bubble up, if you will. Grant comments, to impact the C-suite, it must be done at the board level. And Anastasia says, I agree with Grant. Okay, so you guys can see the discussion here, which is great. Natoya comments, incredible initiative, multitude of potential success factors. Okay, and okay. Neil mentions that we need more joint publicity and leadership buy-in. Danielle says showcasing specific initiatives and successes publicly, mentions at conference, sharing with consumers, client, and patients. I like that component, spreading it beyond just the executives, but going to the consumer if the board demands it, absolutely. Okay, everyone, I really appreciate your versatility and going low-tech here with the chat comments, but all of those are great comments that will help us in analyzing these options. For the sake of time, we're going to move on now to the second initiative. There you go. All right. The second initiative is going to the top, working through the CEOs. And this one we call CEO Courageous Conversations, going beyond rhetoric to real talk on advancing executive diversity. So the general idea is to have a series of small group discussions for CEOs and other senior leaders, those decision makers, to explore real-life topics regarding advancing executive diversity. Again, the focus being on the higher levels of management. Topics might include why the senior ranks of healthcare management remain overwhelmingly non-diverse. And we do have research that supports that statement. ACHE, along with its partner groups like the Institute for Diversity and NACI, we have conducted research on the makeup, the demographic makeup of the senior ranks since 1992. So that's a long time to be gathering data. And unfortunately, the numbers haven't changed much. And in some areas, the numbers have actually gone in the wrong direction. So having that discussion on why, hearing from the CEOs. A second potential topic of discussion would be whether strategies for diversifying healthcare leaders that have been effective at some healthcare organizations, can they be adapted for implementation at your organization? And these would be CEOs talking. That question is basically saying best practices. If they work at one organization, you, Ms. CEO, do you think this would work at your organization with some modifications? The second aspect of this initiative would involve convening these conversations at the annual conferences of our Better Together groups like NALI and NACI, ACHE, and the Institute. So basically to have these conversations at places where those leaders are already there. We may also convene some at local chapters, again, places where we have chapters for all of the main groups. So a large city like New York may have a ACHE chapter, a NACI chapter, and a NALI chapter, and to convene a group of CEOs in that local area. Then findings from these series of courageous conversations would be compiled to develop the tools and resources that the other CEOs can then use in their own organizations. And a key point on this one is that it provides a forum for everyone, including straight white men, to be included in co-creating these inclusive work cultures. And that's a key aspect of the diversity and inclusion work, including as many participants who are non-diverse in this work. So that's the overview of this idea for an initiative. Let's look at the discussion points. First question, do you think your organization's CEO or other senior leaders would be interested and would make the time to participate, particularly if it's in their geographical area? They don't have to travel far to go there. Why or why not? 2, in the past 5 years, so in recent times, has your organization's CEO or other senior leaders been directly involved in diversity and inclusion initiatives that pertain to the senior management ranks? So again, it's a good chance they've been involved in some diversity and inclusion, but do you know of anything that they've been engaged with that involves senior management diversity? If so, please describe. A third question, from where you sit, from your current position, what, if anything, can you do to encourage your organization's CEO to participate in this type of event? And then 4, where are the obstacles? If we were to launch something like this, what are potential challenges we may run into? And again, particularly think of your own organization. So those are the points for discussion. Let's see what's in the chat box.
Oh, no, you got it. Keep it. Oh,
no.
Oh, no, you're good, you're good. That was the last one, I think.
Okay. So Neil comments that yes, it is a leadership priority to make the organization more inclusive. So Neil says he believes in his organization, the CEO would be interested. CC tells us we need to have the conversation where you don't have a presence and ask the question why. For example, I attend the annual diversity breakfast at the annual conference. Over 90% of the people look like me. And that sounds like CC, that challenge of preaching to the converted already, preaching to the choir. And you're absolutely right. And that's one of the ideas behind this initiative, is to bring into the room those people who may not necessarily already be interested or participate in diversity. For an initiative like this, we would most likely identify 1 or 2 straight white men to work with us so that they can reach out to their peers. Very good point there. Danielle comments, okay. In her transitional phase, you're asking about diversity even as you consider new employers. A great point. Grant, if D&I is framed as in a business case and how it impacts the bottom line in communities in which the consumers of healthcare are predominantly of color, then the CEO can make an argument to hire. Okay? Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Danielle. Good point regarding not much discussion about it. Excellent. Ashley mentions that she's currently planning a discussion with her organization's senior leaders around D&I. Ashley, we would love to work with you on that if you would like. Thank you. Okay. So Portia has chimed in. Thank you, Portia, saying St. Paul and Minnesota region is in need of more diversity leaders at the senior level. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Portia. I see your comment and we'll definitely follow up with you there. If I may ask, as we adjust our discussion here, obviously it would have been a more interactive discussion if we could have had the audio, but we are getting good feedback through your chat comments. So feel free to continue to comment on either the first initiative or the second initiative. I want to be conscious of our time here, and also hopefully technology will cooperate as we move to the next point on our agenda, and that is the Executive Diversity Career Navigator. I want to stop for a minute and ask Michael if you want to chime in, Michael, from Nolly's perspective on either one of these initiatives or anything you would like to share with our participants. Are you still with us, Michael?
We're here, see. We're working through our technical difficulties.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to you then at the end. I'm going to move on then to the Executive Diversity Career Navigator. Oh, well, there you go. Okay. All right. So hopefully you have had a chance to look at this website, and we're going to go to the website, I hope, in a moment. This is the byproduct of work from all 6 of our groups that actually started about 2 years ago. We came together and made the decision that our first collaborative project would focus on helping diverse individuals. And for the sake of this discussion, we look at racial, ethnic, and LGBT diversity. So relative to EDCN, those are the main aspects or dimensions of diversity that we focus on. And we made the decision that our first collaborative product would focus on helping diverse individuals prepare to ascend to senior level ranks of their healthcare organization. And we took about a year to fine-tune this product and launch it. It was launched last spring. And since then, we've done a couple of upgrades on the website. And generally, the website is designed to be a central place for visitors to the site to find information that both informs and inspires them in their career journey. The information is primarily from diverse healthcare executives, and one of the parts that we find most exciting is the opportunity to share the voice of the healthcare executive. Voice being either in written narrative stories or in videos and other platforms that we're adding to the website. So with that, let's see if we can get to the website, or if you are able to, on a different screen, go to EDC Navigator. And let's see if we can do it here. Can you click it, Kim? Can you click to activate the website? It is a link.
You should be able to.
Okay. Let me see it. Not see.
Kit, show the screen.
Okay. All right, Mike, we're picking you up there. I don't know if you know your phone is live there. Okay. So let me take a quick tour through the website, just a high-level review of the website, and then I wanted to ask a couple questions of our participants. Okay. The information on EDCN is organized in several ways. One is organized by career stage. So if you click on career stage, you can see we have early career, okay, and then mid-career information and senior career. And under each one of those categories, we then have different buckets of types of information targeted toward that career level. So you can look at the information based on career stage. We have another area that's called realities and challenges. And here we have gathered information and continue to add information. That's one key point. This is a very dynamic website. We are continuously adding new information. The realities and challenges segment is targeted to the experiences, the unique experiences of being a diverse healthcare leader. Some of the realities that we face, some of the challenges that we face, and most importantly, how to deal with those realities and challenges. So, for example, we have a bit of information here on acknowledging that these challenges exist. And then here, if we click, let's hope this cooperates, we have the voice of a diverse healthcare executive, Leslie Steptoe, who talks about her own experience on securing her current position. And so from that, clicking through a couple of places on the EDCN, the user is introduced to this concept of realities and challenges, and then has an opportunity to hear, in this case, read a senior executive's feedback on that. So hopefully, let's get back to the home page here. One other comment on the realities and challenges. Some of the information is, again, segregated by career level under realities and challenges. So if we go back to the home page, it highlights some other aspects of the website, such as what we call see it to be it. This is an area that, like all the areas that are still evolving, but this is where we focus on different individuals, contributors, and their feedback on topics related to career navigation. So let's see if we can hear from Nico here. Okay. So this CEO, who is also the current president of the Institute for Diversity, talks about the challenges of or the opportunity to take action versus strategic risk taking. And one point on this one, from there, I'll take us to the contributors page where we can see some other contributors and then look up their information on what they have contributed. So again, we'll use Nico as an example. And from the contributors page, we pick up a few places that he has provided input for EDCN. Okay, so let me point out one other aspect, and there's more to this, and I hope you take a chance to click through the website and give us feedback. That is so critical right now because we are still in very much the building phase of this service. But wanted to take you back to the contributors page. And because we have information for all levels of careerists, we invite you to become a contributor. And clicking through this EDCN contributor link, you can find out more information about how to submit information so that you too can become a contributor to this resource. So with that, Kim, I may need your help, or Liz, I would like to get back to the screen
Of
the PowerPoint. And welcome your comments in the chat box while we're doing this. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. So these are some of the questions we would like for you to respond to relative to EDCN. Okay. Looks like we're getting some feedback already. Thank you. Thank you, Ashley. Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you for that suggestion, Ashley. David responds. Okay. Thank you, David. That's interesting that you're not able to access it from work, but I understand that sometimes within the healthcare organizations is difficult or not allowed to go to public sites. Oh, thank you, Portia, for coming aboard as a subscriber. Okay. So anyone else, please chime in to the questions. Kim and Michael, will our participants have access to the slides after the webinar concludes?
Yes, they will see. We'll send everybody a link, or I'll send a link to you so you can see.
Okay, and it looks like it's accessible as on the handouts. The PowerPoint is there on the handouts. I say that, everyone, because we welcome your input to any of those questions, especially in light of our technological glitch. You can forward me comments relative to either one of the initiatives or to EDCN. Really appreciate you taking time to go through this with us today. And we do plan, hopefully, to try it again. You all were our first group, and so appreciate you being part of this trial. And Michael, do you have any concluding thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, we're good. As we just stated, we'll see. We'll send out you got the presentation, and we'll also send the recording out to everybody shortly.
Okay, excellent. So everyone, we're going to give you a little bit time back on your clock today. Appreciate your feedback. Please do continue to communicate with me. I will do the same with you. You are now on the list. And so hopefully that's a good thing, because the collaborative work depends on input from members of all 6 of our organizations. So we really want to make sure that we keep you engaged in our Better Together work, because ultimately our Better Together groups involve the members of all 6 organizations. Thank you so much for taking time today. Thank you for your patience, and have a great rest of your day. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.